Well, Tellis, you know, one thing that is kind of striking me when we're fishing here these days is that there are some things that are really making a difference between fishing these modern switch rods that are double hand rated and fishing these older switch rods that are nowadays called the ultralight Scandi rods and that are more single-handed rated. And to me, in these rivers here, I find that the super short heads that we use on the ultralight Scandis are, at least for myself, easier to control and get around. How do you feel about that?
Well, talking about the lines, I think, scenarios like this is where they truly shine. I mean, you have limited space, you're standing underneath branches and everything. It's situations like these we really get the benefits of these short heads. That's very easy to lift, very easy to control, and as well, I mean, the rivers here, they are pretty narrow, so it can still control it pretty good even on a longer cast, because it's not like fishing the big Norwegian or northern rivers, but I think it's perfect, and especially together with these ultralight Scandi rods, which are more single-handed use, which for me as well is, as I've been looking at a switch rod as well from the beginning when I started, to have the mobility of fishing it as a single hand, for me that is truly like spot on for these type of waters.
And it is kind of cool. I think about when we first designed these rods and where they come from originally, because that was with the one thing in mind about fishing trout or grayling and swinging flies for them and using like 4, 5 and maybe 6 weights for that, and that's why we also created the line system in the beginning for very light rod ratings. But I find now, if we look back and see how it's all evolved, that we are basically not selling that many rods to the grayling and trout fishermen, but it's really taken off for the salmon fishing and for the migratory trout fishing guys. And I find it's, the more I fish them these days, the more I just love them, because they are so versatile and pinpointy in the accuracy when you want to fish the seams, you want to fish the pockets, you want to hang flies somewhere, and because you can place those short heads together with that rod just incredibly well in places where you control the speed. And I think looking at these new ULS 2.0 versions, your idea about extending the length a little bit on the rods as well was spot on, because the reach is getting even better out here in the river. And also bringing back action types like we used to have in our old LPXE switch rods, the 11-footers, was a brilliant move. I mean, I just love the combination, the way it is now, and it feels lethal.
Me too. And I'm very glad that both of us came to the same conclusion when we were doing this, and just the pure enjoyment of a little bit like bringing back what a lot of us in Scandinavia has been missing now the last few years, that what we joke around and call the true switch, the single-handed weight ratings, which of course now when they are 11 foot and 10.5 foot, they are a little bit more comfortable to do double hand casting if you, for example, find yourself on the wrong side of the river, or you're more comfortable doing that than a backhand cast, for example. So that also the benefit of having that extra length. But for me also the cool thing with the like 5 and 6 weight, even the 7 weight, of course, that due to the fact that they are so light and the line weights are relatively light single-handed, it's also very versatile to use in lake fishing or actually like deep wading, belly boat. It's not that heavy to overhead cast, especially the lighter ones, of course.
And because we do have the weight forward multi-tip line as well in the ultralight Scandi, which is perfect for those purposes as well. But a comparison between today's switch rods with double-handed rating and these rods is also quite interesting because we've been doubling over, fishing both styles here and using the heavier line ratings on the switch rods, of course, because they are quite a few grams heavier for each line size. And the funny thing though is when you compare actual rod lengths, the switch rods in the NT11 being 11 foot 7 inch, and these 7 weights in the ultralight Scandi that we've been fishing 11 foot, but the actual length difference is only about 3 inch from the front of the grip. Because the grip on the switch rods is a bit longer, both the front grip and also the rear grip. So actually they are possible to fish as a single hander as well. But they might need a little bit more room because obviously the line systems to those rods in the double-handed rating are 1.5 to 2 meters longer in general. And that's something that you need to get accustomed to. And I think we've been moving back and forward. And sometimes I feel like compact lines are really long all of a sudden when I've been using the ultralight Scandi.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. And then, I mean, after going fishing with, for example, the 6-7 weight in the NT11 for half a day, that all of a sudden starts to feel pretty comfy having as a single hand rod, and then you come back from using the ULS rods, it's like, okay, this is a double hand rod. So, but I mean, both of them in my personal fishing, and I think also in general for every angler, both of them deserves their place in a way.
Definitely,
Those small today switch rods, which basically are light double hand, short and light double hand rods. I mean, for salmon fishing in like rivers like this in May and June, higher water, big fish, but you still need a short little strong rod or steelhead, Patagonian sea trout, wind, you don't want to wave around with a long rod. So, but then again, for us that likes to use these 11 footers more as a single hand, will probably enjoy these rods more. So both of them really...
Yeah, they definitely have their place, that's for sure. And I think being here and actually changing over line systems and using different densities as well, because the pools have so many different sort of identities here. It's a really varying river when it comes to fishing, and it's a great river to just walk and fish and you know, make your game plan before you hit the pools. And I was actually checking a little bit, and of course it makes a difference. When I fish ultralight Scandi shooting head, for instance, it's about 6 meters in length. And I mean, I can afford myself maybe to use a 3 meter leader tapered on top of those ones, and it's still a very, very short line system. If I move up to the compacts, I mean, the shorter the 3D compact heads would actually already be 1 to 1.2 meters longer. And if you're doing the multi-tip system, well, you need to have basically 2.5 meters added on to those 6 meters to place them. And that actually is determining a little bit where we use the two different systems. But on the NT11 switches, for instance, I mean, you always have that option if you use the multi-tip system, go back and use a 10-foot tip instead of a 12-foot. I mean, we configure most of those weights with 12-foot tips because we feel that's a more harmonious system. But there's nothing wrong with actually just shortening that whole system by adding a 10-foot tip instead and making it all more compact.
I mean, the benefits, I mean, especially in these tight little pools that we're having quite short swings, so we're sometimes actually just pinpointing a certain spot. I mean, using a 10-foot, which is less meters of sinking, you can actually afford adding a little bit, like for example the sink 5.7 instead of the 3.5, because it's less meters that actually sinks, but you will get it down exactly where you want it. So I started to like more and more these shorter tips. I've always been more of the 15-foot tip kind of guy, but I'm starting to see the more beneficial parts of using the short ones as well, especially being in situations like this.
And also for me, I think I kind of rediscover the shooting heads and I mean the multiple density heads when I fish here, because they're even more compact and easy to manage. So for me, it's been the go-to rig here. I mean, I've loved my float hover 3s and the 246 and getting it down there under some really heavy currents. And but in general, I mean, the two systems are just fantastic and really fun to fish in these kind of smaller to mid-sized rivers.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean,
so efficient.
I mean, like, for example, the lower stretch here, after we have like this junction in this river, the junction pool, I mean, all of a sudden we are having double the size of, or the amount of water. Down there, for example, I was more comfortable using the NT11, the double hand switch. Same if I'm fishing in Mörrum River, for example, or low water fishing in the Norwegian rivers, for example. Sometimes that you get a little bit more reach, you get a little bit more distance, of course, because it's a heavier line, a little bit longer line. But then, of course, if you want to be more of a single-hand fisherman, these will give you like the benefits of both, having that extra length than instead of a 9-footer or something like that. So you get a little bit more distance. But mainly why I like these 11-footers as a single-hand rod, or why I want that extra foot or two, is just to be able to control that fly, to be able to mend it, to really fish the fly properly. That's, for me, it's all about that all the time, steering, controlling, thinking where's the fly and what is it doing, and of course changing between these different lines. I personally really love the sink tip versions because I can still see the belly. I have somewhat control of where the fly is, and I can mend up and give it slack and flip it over to get speed. And especially these short ones, they're so easy to handle compared to try to control a long line, especially in tight environment. You just end up hitting the rod in the trees all the time. No, I really, as I said, both systems is just when you figure out where you want to go or where will be my target place, you will find which setup will really work perfect for you. And so I really enjoy them both. But for this river, for me, the ultralight Scandi is will always be my go-to.
Well put. Enough spoken. Let's go fishing.
Yeah, absolutely.